Greetings. This is level 19, which is actually based around the very first Wolfenstein level I ever did. At least the intro area, where there's kind of this, I don't know how you describe the shape. Shape kind of like a weird H or something. Or a J maybe. Kind of hallway with wood paneling. And there are guys behind barrels right to the right of where you start. It seems pretty modest in comparison to like a lot of things that I've done since then. And probably wouldn't seem like much for someone who's gone through this and played a bunch of things with much more complex layouts. But these two levels are kind of like going back, especially after that. Some levels that are much more windy and labyrinth-like, things that are more direct and simple, and not necessarily about the layout or the shape of the rooms, but just about the direct experience in each room is what I wanted to sort of introduce. And there are a lot fewer levels that are like this in the game than there are, labyrinth-like, because that's what I prefer. I prefer the labyrinth-like stuff, but I felt like, I needed to introduce some variety and I guess something different. So yeah, I think most of the level is different from what I made way back when. It's hard to remember, although it is cool that I had that image right away of those officers standing behind the barrels. Like that was the thing that sort of jumped out to me the first time I was in the very first level that I was doing. So that's cool, because that's something that I always really liked in this game, is sticking enemies behind these objects where you can't get to them and where they are quite a danger. There are two locked doors here, and one of them goes to the next key, which you can't get to yet because you need 2 keys to get there. By the way, don't you love those horrible sprites for the red key, and the green key is even worse looking. I was not a master at sprite drawing, as you can see by the status bar in this game. There's like a little dot right above BJ's head. You probably noticed about 100 times. It's like I literally just like hit that fill, that paint fill option, and didn't like completely fix all the things that were, didn't make sense graphically. Oh well. Think upon seeing that, like I'd be like, if someone can't get that right, why would they make levels or anything that are worth a damn? Oh yeah, that door is basically just there in the hopes that you get the guard to open it so you can shortcut the path to the key, and also just so you don't have to run through that little thing to get back. It's fairly pointless otherwise. But yeah, maybe that's why I'm not so judgmental about when I see amateurish or weird things that don't fit in. Because I know that, I know a lot of people who do say, like, if they can't get that little detail right, how could they get anything else right? But I couldn't get that little detail right, and I managed to get other things right, so. These guards are so terrifying. I should just have the chain gun at all times. Kind of like this room with no guys, that just has the plants sort of illuminated. That's really what episode 4 is to me, are those weird rooms with plants illuminated, like this weird sort of symbolism, things that, you know, are kind of surreal and don't make sense. I think they were sort of best highlighted by that episode. Yeah. Level like 5 and 3 and 8 in particular. Okay, this is another room that's based around episode 3, although I don't think it's directly, but it's reference to maybe it's episode 3, level 4. I can't remember. I think so. And the same deal with the exit area from the last map. I spoke incorrectly. It's not episode 4, level 4. It's episode 3. And the area directly after this is literally like one of the first rooms in episode 3, level 5, except you enter differently, and there's like no guys in there. There's like a couple dogs and one officer, but it's, you know, a cool down, which I like. I like having a comparatively like conflict less, you know, experience at the end in a big room too, you know, where you expect it. So it's just kind of like you're taking in the environment. Like it's like, oh, what does this mean? I'm not fighting tons and tons of guys for once. There's something definitely to be said about sort of emptiness of, you know, expecting this conflict and instead just getting this weird looking environment. And, you know, maybe I wish I did more of that now. Although I'm glad that I, you know, had a sensitivity to that. This is where you get to the secret exit, obviously, as you can see by the fact that I did not exit the level normally. And it pretty much spells the end of these 2 levels, which are kind of an introduction into the castle levels, really. And here is the broken secret. The other, yeah, this one goes to the green key, which you have not used yet. That one goes to the door that's opened by the green key. The idea is it's supposed to stop at the deaf guard, or the dead guard, and then you push it back, and it moves 3 units, and then you push it back once more, where there's another secret block, but it didn't make it that far. It only made it 2. So I could have fixed that by just placing one at 2 and 3 units from that guard, but I didn't. So it just, for whatever reason, it stopped there and it didn't work. So I had to load it again. It's really frustrating to know that something, you know, fairly essential like that, I mean, at least it wasn't required exit, but something, you know, that there's a level that you can't get to now, basically, unless you know how to cheat. Which I have the debug mode on by default in these in case something happens. So I do. But I'll show you, by the way, the secret to the debug mode later on when it comes up in one of the levels. There's a way to find out. It's kind of a secret that unveils what the debug mode is and how to get it. Because it's not goobers, it's not the command line parameter of goobers like it is in Wolfenstein 3D normally. I like this exit. You're so frustrated. Like, that's just a handle. But the real exit's right here, of course. Alright. I will see you guys later. Stay tuned later for level 40.